Welcome into your Pig Trail Nation studio. Terry Talmadge alongside Mike Irwin. I know everyone's still, I've already gotten comments about the coaching search, but we've got to talk a little bit about basketball right now. They took a win over North Texas last night, pretty substantial one as well. Mike, what did you see from them during that game?
Well, mainly defense right off the bat. I mean, I think we were like 8 minutes into that game on the clock, and the score was 9-0. And you're thinking, some people might think, well, this is a really boring game. What's wrong with Arkansas? But what I knew was that North Texas was a good three-point shooting team. They had played VCU, a ranked team, to 3 points on the road. And so I'm thinking to myself, this is really good defense. And afterward, Eric Musselman did talk about they specifically did some things in the week that they had to prepare for that game to really cause problems with three-point shooters. He said, we wanted to disrupt them even before they caught the ball. In other words, you're out there hanging around behind the arc and get a pass. They want to be right there on the guy before he even catches the ball. And then there were some drills they'd done where he said a lot of coaches teach don't leave your feet when you're playing defense on a jump shooter. He said we take the opposite approach. We definitely want them to leave their feet. We want them to go up as high as they can, extend that arm, and maybe try to alter the arc of the shot. Just don't foul. And we teach them to do that. Well, all of that worked because I think I can't remember the number, like 4 of 43 or something.
Yeah, it was crazy about
other teams
not
just that game, but the two teams they played, Rice and North Texas, something like 4 of 43 from behind the arc.
Right.
And so if you can keep that up all year long, you're going to win some games. Yeah. Now you combine all that with Kentucky getting beat. I was talking to somebody last night after the game, and he said, you know, the whole SEC is kind of so far down a little bit, which might open the door up for Arkansas. Notice at least one national writer took note of that win, a 20-plus point win over a team that honestly is pretty good. Yeah. And even I think Rice came back and had a big win after getting blown out by Arkansas. So there's some positive signs here. And yet we still had a guy on Twitter going, it's embarrassing. They only won by 20 points. I don't think he understood that it wasn't a typical rent-a-win game. Yeah. But there's some good signs with this basketball team, and it's all about, you know, the work that they put in. And, Eric Musselman said after the game, well, the one thing we didn't do right was we got out-rebounded like 38, 23 or something like that. And he said, so we're going to go back and do some rebounding drills. So I like the fact that every time they win, he still finds problems that they need to go back and correct.
But he knew coming into the season that rebounding was going to be probably their biggest hurdle moving forward. We got a comment from Christopher. Loves the energy from Coach Musselman. Says, Coach Muss gets me juiced up. I think we all like that.
And it wasn't that fastest 40-minute stuff. See, this is a very low-scoring game, so it's kind of a test. And I will say that the energy level is kind of different in a game like that because when you're watching defense, it's more like you're watching a drama. And you're not jumping up and down going ape because you're watching your team play defense and you just are appreciative of it. But then where there were those offensive moments, like, for instance, it was a 5-point game with about midway through the second half. And it was the kind of game that Arkansas lost last year. They'd be messing around. They'd have a 12, 14-point lead, and then they'd blow it. And all of a sudden you get 8, 10 minutes to the end of the game, and the next thing you know, the other team's in front, and they can't overcome the problem. Well, so I'm thinking that when it got down to 5 points. This is a lot of the same guys from last year on this team. And what they did at that point was, I think it was Adriel Bailey got a dunk, and he got called for hanging on the rim, which everybody booed. Because there were people underneath him. And then they just started going nuts, and the lead went from like up to 7, then it was 14, then it was 21. And so really you didn't have to sweat it at the end. Yeah. And it really was an impressive win for those of you who don't know much about North Texas.
Yeah, they also have a game on Saturday, by the way, if anyone wants to head out. They're hosting Montana, so it should be another fun matchup. You get to take an early look at this team. But let's talk a little bit about football. I'm seeing a lot of comments right now. Mike, of course, the Leach comment has come up. Curtis wants to know, is it true about the Mike Leach rumors? Which there are so many rumors, by the way, about every single coach out there.
Yeah, look, if you go on social media right now, and Jason Carroll, our sports director, made this point in a discussion a few minutes ago, there's nobody out there that has been mentioned that will unify this fan base immediately because everybody's got their own guy and they hate anybody else's name.
Right.
I want this guy, I don't want that guy, I hate him. So whoever it is going to have to come in and do things, and it won't be done by winning press conferences. They're going to judge you based on what, after Morris, what you do on the field. So whoever it is has to win. There's a lot of different rumors. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Norvell. And let's put Norvell and Gus, in my opinion, in the same category based on what I've told, which is neither one of them consider Arkansas their top choice. Now, we don't even know if Gus is going to leave. The theory is that they will fire him if he loses to Alabama and Georgia, I guess he has to play. And then he would decide what he would do after that. But if he got fired or if Norvell, leaves and decides to leave, what I'm told by people that know either one of them is they don't consider this the job they want. Mm-hmm. So I got to believe Hunter Yurachek will know that.
Yeah. So
we're talking about other people that might want this job. That gave rise to the Butch Davis rumors. Butch Davis, is from Springdale. He had an 11-1 team at Miami and was going pretty good at Miami. Then he ended up, I don't know where else he went. I haven't followed his career all the way through. He was at North Carolina. Had decent teams there. He's had decent teams where he is now at, Florida International, somewhere like that in Florida. I don't think they're doing very well this year. But this is a guy that's John Tyson is very close to him and has really tried to get him this job before. The timing didn't work out. Maybe it works out this time. And he's tied to this rumor that I've heard for a while that I got from a source, which is there was a coach out there. This is the way it was put to me 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's a coach out there that if you got him, he could get Sam Pittman to come back here as offensive line coach. And then today I found out that, and I put that out there and people were making all kinds of guesses, and you'd be amazed at how many coaches out there who are head coaches have had a previous relationship with Sam Pittman because he's been everywhere. So it was almost like a fun little thing, and I didn't do it on purpose. But I finally called the guy back, and he got him to tell me that it was Butch Davis he's talking about. Now, so what do? I immediately start talking to somebody that knows Sam Pittman to find out if this is true. This is how you work as a reporter. Okay, this guy says this. Now let's go take it in from the Pittman side. And the guy that knows Pittman said, no, he will only come here as a head coach. So this is the kind of circles you go in trying to figure this out. And we're just getting started on this thing. The Mike Leach thing is this, and I know this to be true. He has tried 2 different times to get this job. He's wanted this job ever since he came in under Hal Mumme at War Memorial Stadium, and there was a classic game there that Arkansas won, but Leach was impressed with the fans, impressed with the stadium, and has twice tried to apply for this job and has basically been blown off. Yeah. And apparently he still has interest, and the only reason I bring him up, and I'm not saying he'll be the guy, but here's what I'm saying, and I'm going on, this is all any of us can do, is what we know about the guy that's going to make the hire. When I was talking to Hunter Yurachek about why he hired Eric Musselman, he said the number one thing that struck me, yes, I looked at his record, it was amazing. Yeah. But the number one thing that struck me from the first phone call I had with him was he didn't just want to take this job. He wanted this job. He wanted to be here for this specific job. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to come here and take this job and then use it to get another job. Yeah. He convinced me this is where he wants to be. Well, Mike Leach wants this job. He's wanted it for 20 years, and he keeps getting blown off. Could he come in here and fire everybody up? Sure, because he's that kind of guy. Could he could get the offense going. The question you don't know about is what kind of defensive coordinator, because he's all about his defensive coordinator. Now, let me just say this. People say, well, he hadn't won. He took Texas Tech to a number 2 national ranking. I grew up out west of Lubbock. Mm-hmm. I lived there for 19 years. I followed them since just to see what they do. They've never been anywhere close to that before. He had Washington State's only 11-1 team. Yeah. He's done things at schools where you have a hard time winning that those schools had never done before. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's any doubt that he could raise the level of play that you see right now way above what we've got now. Whether he could win the SEC or anything like that, I don't know. He'd have to have a really good defensive coordinator. Yeah. There's
so much speculation going around. It's just so early in the process right now. But we are going to be breaking down who we think are probably the best 5 fits for this coaching job at Arkansas. We're going to do that tomorrow, so be sure to tune in for that one. But that's going to wrap up our little Facebook Live here. For Mike Irwin, I'm Tara Talmadge, guys. Thanks for watching.